Hi, so today I have my September reading wrap up. We are in the middle of October and I'm so sorry. This is really late. I suck at being consistent. I'm just gonna say it. It is what it is. It's part of my personality, I guess, or whatever. I have everything in a notebook because I try to be organized like that. I love a physical book. Something about flipping the pages, smelling the book, seeing the book in my hands makes me want to read it more. But I've been learning that the Kindle is a great tool for when I'm at work and I don't want to lug a book with me. I can just whip the Kindle out during lunch break or whatever. I love it at nighttime when I'm laying in bed and don't feel like holding a heavy book, or even just to switch up what I'm doing. If I read some of the physical book and then need a change, and I'll put it down and then pick up the Kindle. These are not going to be in the order which I read them. And I'm not going to tell you exactly what I rated things because I'm usually wrong. I don't remember what I rate things. My memory retention is so bad. It is so bad. I think it's part of just raising two insane kids. I don't know, but I'm going to do my best to remember exactly what I rated these books. So I will tell you, but if it's wrong, I'm sorry. Okay. So we're just going to get right into it. Oh, I want to show you, this is an unofficial reading journal look through, I guess. But what I do is I write down my notes on the books I read, the titles, what I rated them. But again, this isn't even accurate. Sometimes I changed my mind last minute. I make a little calendar and a to-do list. At the end of the month, I put pictures of the books that I read, not to spoil it though. So pictures of the books that I read. I started putting spreads. So I'm loving my beat up looking reading journal so much, and it really does help me retain what I read. The first book that I'm going to talk about is The Coven by Harper L. Woods. This is a series. I don't know the name of the series. The third book just came out. They all have these gorgeous sprayed edges with the beautiful inside pages. I read this really fast. I really enjoyed it. I gave this 3.75 stars, which is not bad. It just means that I had a good time with the book. I read the book, I enjoyed it, and I'm curious enough to continue with the series. This is about a witch who is trying to basically run from this coven that wants her to be in it, and they send out these things called vessels, which are essentially demons, and they are not friends of the witches, but they do work with the witches. They have like similar goals in mind, right? So this vessel is sent to go collect this witch to bring her back to the coven that she doesn't want to be at, and she has to protect her little brother, and there is some mystery elements to the story. The witch is trying to figure out things about her father. She's learning things about this coven and the people that are the witches that are in it and how they all sort of tie into her bloodline. And there is lots of action. There is lots of spice. I loved the spice. I thought it was really well written without being overdone. Sometimes I find that books are overkill with the spice and it's so unnecessary. But this was a great balance between plot and spice. And I really liked the energy between the two characters throughout the story. I was hooked basically right away, and I thought that the writing was pretty good. I have seen people have mixed feelings on this book and this series as a whole, but I thought it was good. I don't know why people were shitting on it because I was interested and I thought the writing was fine, and I don't understand what the hate was towards it, but I will be continuing. I finally read Phantasma. This is a chunker. I was worried. I was concerned that this would take me far too long to get through, but I actually read this in under 2 days. So I rated Phantasma 4.25 stars. I think I upped that rating to 4.5 if I'm not mistaken on my Fable, which I will link. This is another book, part of a series. This is by Kaylee Smith. This is a great kind of gothic romantic-y trials type of story. So we have our main character, don't remember her name, but she basically is looking for her sister who has disappeared. Their mom is gone, gone. And so she's looking for her sister. She goes into these trials and she encounters a devil who is hiding so many things from her. And there was just like this somewhat huge plot twist towards the end of the book that I did not see coming. I loved the romance. I loved the trials. They were really clever. It sort of gave like Hunger Game vibes, which I've heard people say. It also had its own spooky, scary vibe to it as well. It was really creepy to read some of these like monsters that are in the book and some of the scenes, the way that the land of Phantasma was described. The ending I ended up just loving, and this had me hooked enough to want to continue on with Enchantra, which I haven't read yet, but I do have. I think that this was a really fun read, and I definitely do recommend this. Perfect for spooky season fall, because again, it had that kind of gothic horror aspect to it on top of the fantasy romance elements. So this was so well written. I finally finished ACOWAR. This took me, I think, 6 or 7 months. I don't even know at this point. And I, for that reason, gave it a lower rating because it just took me so long to get through, which is partially my own fault. Life happened. But on top of that, I think that the book itself just was too long. It did not, in my opinion, did not need to be 700 pages. This could have been done in 500, 600 pages. I didn't love this as much as I loved the second book in the series. This is the third book, by the way. I just felt like it got a little redundant. It got really drawn out. I started to find myself getting annoyed at Farah. I don't even know how to say her name. Faray, whatever. I just cannot stand her. She's a little bit whiny and a little bit annoying, if I'm being super honest. I do love Nesta, and I do love basically all of the other characters. I'm just starting, and I don't like Tamlin, obviously, but I'm starting to just not be able to stand Farah. I think that's affecting my drive to finish this series. So this I gave the lowest rating out of the 3 that I've read. And with that being said, I am going to continue the series because the next book is about this big, easy peasy. The last book is another thick one. But at that point, like I'm so close to the finish line with this series, and I want to finish it out because like you can't not read ACOTAR. But I like it. I like the series as a whole. This book, though, I just didn't love. And not to keep like shitting all over this book, but I thought the ending was a little bit predictable. I was a little bit sad by the ending, but I wasn't surprised. And for me, the second book, the ending of that book, first of all, had me so immersed, I couldn't put it down. But on top of that, it threw me for a loop. It was so unpredictable and just so fun to read. I didn't get that with this book, so I was really disappointed. And I was able to tell about, I don't know, this much of the way through that I was not super pleased with it. Another book that was a little disappointing, A Fellowship of Bakers and Magic by Jay Penner. This is so cute looking, right? I wanted it to give me cozy fantasy vibe, kind of like the Travis Baldree books. I wanted it to give me that because I haven't really been able to find books that gave me that except The Spell Shop. So I wanted this to sort of embody those books, and it didn't. It fell so flat. I was so sad by that. I think I gave this book another 3-star range, 3.25 maybe. In this book, we've got, I honestly don't even remember what this was about. That's how like unmemorable this was. Arletta, who is not magical, but she lives in a magical land. She's a baker and she's trying to sell her baked goods at this farmer's market type of a thing, but everybody there is magical and all of their things are selling for more. They're getting better vendor spots because they are magical, so they're favored, even though her baking is way better than any of the magical stuff that they are selling. But because she's human, that doesn't matter. She ends up entering this baking competition against all magical creatures who, again, are using magical potions and shit for their baked goods. And she is competing, and she's got this elf helping her, and the elf is her love interest in the story. And honestly, that is all that I got from this. There was no spice. There was a little bit of tension between her and the baking competition because she was like neck and neck with this one other character who I did not like. But the book just like gave kind of nothing to me. It has recipes in the back, which is actually one of the major reasons I bought the book. I did make the lemon bars with the cardamom. I thought they were okay. They were very sour. The cardamom got stronger and stronger as the days went on. I guess that's why the book suggests eating the lemon bars within 24 hours. I gave my partner lemon bars like 2 days after I made them, I think, and he was like, the cardamom in that was way too intense. So if I had just, followed the directions and eaten them in a timely manner, maybe then they would have been fine. I don't know. But either way, the book was okay. If you want something somewhat cozy, go ahead and read this. But I would say save your money and get something else like The Spell Shop. Another book that I was so disappointed in. September was not great. Now that I'm reflecting, not good at all. Immortal Dark by Tijest Girma. I think I said that wrong. Tijest Girma. I bought this because, first of all, the book itself is beautiful. Gorgeous. It's up for sale on my Pango, which will also be linked below. It is a dark academia with vampires. And so I thought this was going to be really fun and really just immersive. It was not. It was confusing. The pacing was awkward. The characters were not likable. Plot was okay. I liked what the plot was trying to do. I just don't think that it delivered. It did have me interested in it for the first 60-ish%, but as the book went on, I felt like I just lost that interest. It felt like it was just building and building and building, but going nowhere. I gave it 3 stars. The ending was not memorable. It was slightly predictable. So I would say skip this book. Not a book that I think needs to be read, but if you want to read it just to know like what people are talking about, then go for it, of course. I just personally would not have bought this book had I known that it would only be a 3-star read for me. So take with that what you will. It is really pretty though. So The Coworker by Frida McFadden. This is a thriller. This is a sort of love triangle gone wrong. So we have a woman who works in this office, and there is another character who is the office bully, and then there's the boss, and then there is the spouse, I think, of one of the characters. So there's kind of just a lot going on, but needless to say, the plot twist at the end was insane. I did not expect it. I loved every second of this book. It's probably one of my favorite Frida books that I've read so far. What I will say is that the person that I thought did it, I was wrong. I gave this one 4 stars because this is one that I would recommend. I do love all of her books, but I would not recommend all of them. This one is one that I absolutely would recommend. I'm gonna make my mom read it, and then I want my best friend to read it too. So I definitely say go for this one. All right, let's talk about the books that I don't have the physicals of. So I read The Perfect Divorce. I'll put it right here. This is a follow-up to The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. This is a thriller. This was crazy. I gave this 3.75 stars, which is a higher rating for a thriller. So it was a little predictable. That was the downside, but it was such a fast read, and I think that it picked up right where the first one left off beautifully. I did not need to reread the first one, which I read over a year ago. I didn't need to reread that in order to remember it / understand where this book was taking us. And just overall, I really liked the book. I just don't feel like I need to keep it because once I've read a thriller, I don't need to reread that thriller. I know what happens. The story for me is now spoiled, so I want to give it to other people or sell it to other people, if I'm being honest, because I want to buy new books with that money, duh. The Perfect Divorce, 3.75 stars, loved it. Then I read my only 5-star of the month, The Exorcism of Fairies by J.L. Vampa. I'll put the book here. I even did a spread for this book because that is how much, it's really dark, but that is how much I enjoyed reading this book. This was so good. A dark academia based around fairies and in a school setting with a professor-student romance. It was interesting. We learn a lot about anatomy of fairies and a lot about plant life and just microorganism, like a lot of science elements to it, but it wasn't hard to understand, and I couldn't put the book down. I really loved all of the magical elements. The storyline was completely captivating, so immersive. There were some illustrations throughout the book, and I just loved it. The last book that I read for the month of September was King of Wrath by Anna Huang. And this was a enemies to lovers dark romance. Didn't love the female main character. I felt like she was really annoying. She wouldn't stick up for herself. The male main character was very angry, very controlling. They had a marriage of convenience, or like a bargain marriage where they were set up to marry each other, but it wasn't exactly arranged because they both came up with the idea. It wasn't like their parents had them do it. But I gave this book 3.5 stars because, again, the female main character kind of just annoyed me. She just wouldn't stick up for herself. And that drives me crazy when people don't speak up for themselves, and when they don't stick up for what's right, and when they don't like basically speak their mind and be authentic to themselves. I don't like that at all, and I don't like it in my books either. So that's why it's only a 3.5 star. But I did like the writing. I do like Anna Huang's writing for the most part. Her Twisted series was okay for me. I didn't love that. I think that I can already tell actually that I like this series more than I liked the Twisted series. But with that being said, I will be continuing on with this series. I think it's going to be 7 books long or something like that. And I did like the writing. The pacing was good. So I do think it was worth the read. I would say that it's a great place to start for someone that wants to get into dark romance or who wants to get into the author. That is a really good book to start with. The spice was so good, so steamy. I felt the connection and the energy between the characters. I will see you guys in my next video. I'm so sorry for the chaotic energy here. That is just my personality. So I will see you next time.